I think death and our own mortality and bringing it to the forefront is one of the a great motivator or a great equalizer and of bringing things into perspective and our lives into perspective. I remember there was this website, I can't remember the exact name of it, but it was kind of like Time to Live or a death clock. And you'd put in your data, how old you were, your lifestyle, and it would give you an approximation what the average person with your particular lifestyle would live. And then it would start counting down the seconds until your death. And the creator of the website, and I think even on iTunes there's an application that does the same thing. And the creator of the website would get a lot of comments, negative comments. How could you? What a horrific website. It's gruesome. It's morbid to have a website that counts down the seconds or days until your death. And I thought, man, that is so foolish. And especially in Western culture, we have such an aversion to death. And we don't want to see it, with things like in the Iraq War, the big controversy when the government didn't want to release pictures of the dead soldiers' caskets. And even in TV, the war in Iraq, if you watch some of other coverage in the media, you see the realities of war. And I think, if we had a better connection to death and a little bit of the reality of life that many people around the world must endure, we would bring it would change our perspective. But even taking it personally, it's something that we don't really want to face. And when things like Michael Jackson's death or other people die at a young age, oh my God, it kind of, it's like a bucket of cold water over our head. And I really think it's beneficial in our lives if we keep our own mortality, death being like a lion that's chasing us, and it kind of cuts through all the superficiality, and we start to have a realization of what's important in life, what's really the things that we complain about, the things that we desire, the things that we make ourselves sick with worry. When you put death and mortality to the forefront, the triviality no longer consumes us. And there's the famous expression, what would you do if this is the last day of your life? And we start saying, wow, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. What I thought is important, when I face my own mortality, I realize it's not that important. And when you're sitting, on your deathbed, when you're in the rocking chair test, you're 80, 90 years old, reflecting upon your life, you're not going to wish that you spent more time at the office. You're not going to wish you spent more time on the internet. You're not going to wish you spent more time stressing and worrying about things. It's very simple. The things that our mortality is every day that we walk with an eye on our own mortality, it just changes it. The things that become important is our loved ones, our meaningful, fulfilling relationships, helping other people, maybe adventures, traveling, seeing the world, growing spiritually, our creative, artistic pursuits, learning new hobbies, I think an exploration of the inner journey. And we spend so much time bogged down in the physical, material world that oftentimes the spiritual or the inner journey, we want to go to, as a human race, we want to go to other planets, We want to make new discoveries, and external. And the place that we so rarely explore is the inner journey, and who we are as people, what makes us happy, why we're driven to do certain things, what is the purpose of our lives. And who knows, maybe it has no purpose, but just discovering, digging deep, and pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone, helping others. These are the things that when you face your own mortality is what becomes important. Investing in our children, and all the things that we spend so much of our precious resource of life energy, really, when you face your own mortality, is not that big of a deal. And the common expression is that we live, life is so short, life is so short, life is so short. You hear that all the time. In reality, life is very long. Especially nowadays, we live a very long time, and we always, with life being so long, we tend to say, oh, tomorrow I can do that, tomorrow. And you don't become conscious and aware of your actions and the way in which we spend our life. I mean, we're oftentimes more aware of how we spend money than how we spend our life energy, our time, our resources, what we get stressed about, what we invest in. And I think for a lot of people, we just get stuck in survival mode, just trying to keep all our desires afloat. And then when you face mortality, you just, all the pressures, stresses, the things that we worry about and invest in become trivial. So I think it's just kind of time to own up and face our humanness, of our vulnerability, the temporal nature of being on this spinning globe. And it's not a depressing thing, man. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's invigorating. It's exciting. It gives a new sense of urgency to be present in the moment and to make wise decisions on how we invest our life energy. It's one of the greatest gifts, and yet as a Western culture, it's so avoided. It's so not talked about. You don't discuss it with children. Oh, my grandma or grandpa, they went to heaven. They went to another place, and we don't really face truth. We don't want to face it. We don't want to face death. We want to avoid it instead of embracing it.